Not just in Colombo, but literally everywhere. One of the biggest problems we have as veterinarians is tick fever. We are going to discuss a little bit about ticks and tick control, because it is, as a pet owner, probably the one really important thing that you can do for your pet. In addition to vaccination, of course, we all know that that is important, but a lot of people forget how important tick control is. And also a lot of people worry about the side effects and the toxicities and issues like that, and therefore are sometimes reluctant to use tick control. I do want to really emphasize that it is absolutely essential that as a pet owner, you are very, very aware of ticks and you do implement tick control, because in Sri Lanka, in this tropical environment, all over the country, not just in Colombo, but literally everywhere, one of the biggest problems we have as veterinarians is tick fever. We call it tick fever. It's actually a group of illnesses similar to mosquito-borne diseases like chikungunya and malaria and dengue. They're all borne by mosquitoes, and we can call them mosquito fever. Similarly, there are lots of diseases that come with the same tick, and they're called tick fever, and they're lumped in one group. We'll discuss that more in detail, but remember, it's a whole series of diseases that you get from ticks, not just one single one. When it comes to the tick medication that you have, we used to have fairly toxic things like the pyrethrins, Bol 4, things like that, or some of you are familiar with from the olden days. And we used them because still, on balance, it was more important not to have ticks than not to use the products which did have side effects and toxicities. Similar to with mosquito control, we use malathion and stuff like that all over the place. And that has a lot of side effects and toxicities, not just for the mosquitoes, but butterflies and insects and all sorts of other animals. But we use it anyway, because on balance, getting chikungunya or dengue is a worse problem than having to deal with some pesticides in the environment. It's just one of those things. It's not a perfect solution, but it is something that is nonetheless important. Now, with the modern, newer tick control medicines from the inventor Frontline, which is the first tick medication of that group of medicines, they were developed to be very safe for animals. They don't actually cross the brains of mammals, and their toxicity is in the brain. And so if you are a mammal, any kind of mammal, including a human mammal, you would see toxicity with that particular group of drugs, the Frontline group of drugs, unless you have already some kind of disease in your brain. And that applies to animals as well. If they have epilepsy, or if they have seizures, or if they have some problem already, then they can see toxicities from these drugs. But normal animals with a healthy protection for their brain won't have any toxicities for this. That is just the way the drugs are created, and it's also very safe for children, very safe for people. Those are all the real advantages of the newer group of drugs. Now, to a large extent, the same thing applies for NexGard and Bravecto and all the newer group of drugs like that. There is a whole slew of them now. There are separate ones for cats, Revolution and other groups of drugs like that. They're all really, really safe, especially relative to the outcome of getting tick fever.